Hello, everybody. Good morning from Central Coast in Eastern Australia. For the third time, we have a privilege to welcome Dr. Carrie Madej. Viewers of our channel already know her. Carrie is an osteopath and an expert in detoxification and natural methods of body restoration. Her knowledge and experience can help many people to understand how we can support our health without complicated or harmful interventions. So I'll bring Carrie with us to studio. Good morning, Carrie. Hold on.
Good morning,
Good morning.
good evening in my part of the world.
Yes, it's interesting because I'm already in the future. I'm already 29th of October. You are still 28.
Yeah, time is malleable. So, yes, of course.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Carrie, in our previous programs, we spoke, amongst other things, about transhumanism. And at that time, I just bought the new Greg Braden's book called Pure Human. And I knew in our next talk that I will open it with a quote from this book, but I will use the video to do that. Hold on a
Okay.
second. This is actually complicated. Let's put it this way. That's it. Human divinity is defined as the ability to transcend our perceived limitations to become more than the limits that we've accepted for ourselves in the past. Within each of us is a personal code of divinity to do just that, to unlock our uniquely human technology of neural networks, cell membranes, and heart intelligence that allows us to supercharge our health, to triumph over the fear and darkness that we face in our lives, and give us the evolutionary edge to thrive in our world of uncertainty. New discoveries reveal that our natural abilities equal and in some ways exceed the capabilities of artificial intelligence, chemical substitutes for our immune system, and lifestyle modifying nanosensors that we are being encouraged to accept into our bodies. The danger of embracing these technologies is that our natural system begin to atrophy and eventually fail in the presence of the artificial substitutes. We owe it to ourselves to first awaken those extraordinary potentials in our lives and to know who we are in their presence before we give ourselves away to someone else's idea of progress and high-tech evolution. Now, I think that Greg summarized it pretty well right at the cover of his book. Um, and I know that you are absolutely in line with those words. And I would like your response to this so we can start the talk.
Uh, Absolutely. So, I believe we are in the biggest battle of our written history. And it's a spiritual battle, first and foremost, because it's a battle for not just our bodies, but our minds and spirit. So we have to decide who and what and whose we are. So I tell people that in the beginning, do you know who you are? Because I'm not just a name, you're not just a name. I always tell people this is how I identify myself. I am a daughter of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I identify with the God of the Bible. Okay. And he's the creator of all. So I'm his daughter. Knowing that, I already have boundaries, I already have a set of ethics and rules, I already have an expected idea of what I'm capable of through him, meaning I believe in miracles every day. I believe anything is possible. I believe in the supernatural. I believe in our supernatural ability. So that's more than just saying my name. I also say that I'm an American free woman because I know I'm a woman and I know I'm free. So the thing is, do you know who you are? And so a lot of people really don't know who they are. So when things come as in the form of mandates or laws or whatever else that these administrations are pushing on us, people they get confused, they get chaotic, and they don't have their boundaries set in place. They don't have their rules and ethics set in place. They don't know who they are. And so they end up falling and following in line with that. So the most important point of this topic or this talk is for people to know who and what they are and whose they are, meaning, what are you and who are you? So that's my definition of who I am. And so that's how I present this to everybody.
It is actually very interesting because it's a beautiful definition, and it actually immediately sets you in how you're going to react to the certain challenges coming from the other world, how you identify yourself. Many people, if you ask them this question, they will say, oh, I am a mother of two, or I am a CEO. And it immediately gives you what will be the program they are running. And it's nothing wrong with being a CEO or being a mother of two. Absolutely not. But that is giving you the idea how they're going to react to the certain challenges in life. All right. When we were preparing this talk, you used the expression which really stuck in my brain. I'll put it on a screen. Let me see if I can actually do it. Yep. And that was, come on, help me out here. See, it's technology against me.
It is. the nanobots are talking.
Okay, let's put it this way. That was the term you use. We are living in a frequency war. And I find it actually, it's stuck in my brain because it is profound on so many levels. And I would like us to talk today a little bit about all this, about all different types of frequencies and what does it actually mean. But you were kind enough to send me really, really interesting set of slides, which will set us in a right direction towards our talk. And I'll start with the first slide, and the floor is yours.
Okay. Yeah. So I always start with telling people, do you know who you are? Do you know that you're fearfully means in an awesome way, wonderfully made? And doctors don't know these things about the body. We weren't taught about them, but now science is unveiling them to us to let us know really how our bodies are operating, that we are so much more than just blobs of cells, that we are electromagnetic beings. We are biophotonic. We make light. And so I was talking about the identity of a person. And in this verse from Genesis, it's so God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. And when it says in his image, that means he's given us the ability to be co-creators with him. Think about that. We can co-create with the creator of all right now. So if we change our perspective to that, and we really become those words, become that identity, everything changes. We should not fear anything, not AI, absolutely not. So this is why I'm so excited about that verse.
It is actually our viewers, majority of our viewers, I would say, have their own name. You call it God. Our viewers might call it God as well. They might call it creator. They might call it source. Doesn't really matter how we name it. It's still the same thing. And I believe that we are like drop in the ocean, drop of the water in the ocean. We are part of this creation, and it is in us. He is in us, or she is in us. It really doesn't matter how we name it, because we are part of it. And the moment you really identify with this, that's the moment when you understand that all power is in your hands, isn't it?
Yes, yes. As long as we understand that there's a creator, not that, oh, now I'm a little God and I'm going to do whatever I want. It's having that humbleness, right? We call it fruits of the spirit, and having a loving kindness when we do this as well. So it's not about becoming a dictator.
No, absolutely. And it's interesting that you use those terms, because we have in our motto as a keepers of the light, we have a motto: be humble, be respectful, and be kind. That's actually interesting, because you said all those three. Okay, now you in the next slide, which I think it's profoundly important, you bringing the subject of spiritual healing and the power of that prayer, but also it doesn't really matter if we call it prayer. I would like to stir away from thinking about it in a religious point, from religious point of view. This is not religion. This is about understanding the creator. This is about understanding where we fit in the bigger picture. So spiritual healing and the power of prayer, I think it's known to everybody who've been through difficult times.
Yeah. I think everybody reaches out at that moment when you don't know what else to do, you pray. And I've seen miracles happen. I'm a walking miracle because of prayer. I shouldn't be alive, and here I am. And you've made it through your trials and tribulations, Jana. And I've seen many patients heal. I don't know how they healed. Scientifically and logically, I don't know how they healed, but I know that prayer was involved. So it's going into another dimension, into the spiritual realm where there is no time, space. And there are a lot of studies to prove that prayer does work. Even retrospective studies prove that. So this is just saying that science isn't guessing anymore. We have actual data, evidence to show that prayer affects your mind and your body, and it activates key brain regions, the prefrontal cortex, the anterior cingulate, the thalamus, and of course, this shows how it's regulating your mind, so your emotions, your attention, mental clarity, but also there's a higher power involved because there things happen that we cannot explain. One of the many examples I have is a woman that they told her she'd likely die in surgery. She has a huge pancreatic tumor and they're doing surgery. She didn't expect to wake up, but through lots of prayer, and she came back to my office. She looked great. I'm like, wait, what happened? She said, well, they opened me up and they found just a nub of nothing and they just closed me back up. They said, there's nothing to take out now. They have no explanation. They just said it was just a spontaneous remission. That's what they call a miracle in medicine. And they never wanted to talk about it again. That can happen a lot. So, I mean, it is, we have to have full faith and belief though. We can't just say, I'm going to pray and ask for it, but I don't think it's going to work. No, it's the power of our thoughts, the power of our spoken word, reaching to the heavens and praying for it, and, having no fear either.
It's, I think it's happening more often than we know, because you can imagine the traditional media is not going to publicize this. So you will hear it from the different alternative sources, but there is many cases like this. And they are really beautiful stories. And whether you call it miracle, whether you call it power of your inner strength, doesn't really matter. It is happening, and you're right. It is crossing to the different realm. We're not talking typical medicine or typical traditional physics. We're crossing somewhere else to the different. I can't say dimension because we're using the word dimension in a different area, but you know what I mean. Yes. I actually heard Greg Braden talking. We started with him, so I used one of his stories. Greg Braden talking, and I actually saw it on a video. In one of his talks, I really don't know if it was in Tibet or if it was in Burma, Myanmar, somewhere over there. There was a case that a man was dying literally with big tumor in his tummy, and instead of seeing traditional, Western medicine doctor, they couldn't help him anymore. So the people or the circle of I don't know what they were not monks, let's say circle of people gathered with him, and they actually had an ultrasound attached to his tummy while they were doing it. So it was on a camera. And after, I don't know, half an hour of praying, but it wasn't praying like to, let's say, to God. It was a praying in a way like a mantra. It is gone, like it is gone. It is gone. And they were, I don't know, chanting it, 15 minutes. And you could see how this tumor is shrinking up until the point it was nothing there. Now you explain this to me. There is no traditional Western medicine explanation to this.
No, definitely not traditional Western medicine. Yes.
Now, you in your slides, you have very interesting, and because we like evidence, don't we? in a typical 3D reality, we all want to have some evidence. So this is very interesting in my opinion. But for us amateurs, can you please explain why it is not good to have clumps in your blood?
Yes. So this is just a drop of one of my colleagues' blood under dark field microscopy. And so you're looking at his blood cells, but they're all smashed together, clumped together. They're supposed to be separated out, almost looking like little donuts in space. And that's definitely not what you're seeing here. And you're also seeing some unidentified substance there that could be something like a hydrogel. These synthetic substances we're seeing in the blood a lot more now. So this is not good, because imagine that blood trying to get through one capillary, which can only fit one blood cell size at a time. And so this would get clogged. So this means all his capillaries are getting clogged in his brain and his kidneys, all over the place. So of course it could be fatigue, brain fog, memory issues, also just all the organs not functioning properly. So his blood was sluggish. He did not get any shots. It was still looking like this. So we thought, let's take about a dozen of us, and we videotaped all of us doing this in real time. We all looked at our blood, just whatever it looks like today. Then we said we would seriously go and do prayer, forgiveness, and repentance. Forgiveness means we're going to go back to the earliest memories we have and forgive anybody from our heart. And even in current times, you forgive Fauci, you forgive your government, you can't blame anybody. You just forgive everything. You got to get rid of this bitterness and this resentfulness, because it eats you up inside. So you have to really practice forgiveness. And then repentance, meaning I take full authority and autonomy over my body. I'm accountable for me, nobody else. Nobody made me do anything. And whatever it is, maybe I didn't eat well, I've got bad habits, or I took the shot. I don't want to do that anymore. You just are repenting, meaning I accept that I did that. I'm not going to do that again. Okay. So 10 days later, no change in diet, no detoxing. This is what his blood looked like 10 days later. Okay, there is nothing I know holistically or Western medicine that can change the blood this quickly and to be such a healthy state. Now, this is what blood is supposed to look like. And
Wow.
we all saw this. There's not a dry eye in the room. We all had tears to see the power of prayer and words and practicing forgiveness. Wow. What if we all started to do this? We can physically change the structure of our body right
We
now. We
can
can change
we
that in
can
others too.
we can change the planet. We can change the world.
We need to
It-
believe in it though and have faith.
yeah, it is. I know, and this is you just tap into something which is, I think, crucially important, because we all go through stages in our soul development. Let's put it this way, and sometimes we understand what's happening around us. We get really angry. How could we actually live in this? And why it is still happening? And why nothing is done? And then we start to understand slowly, if you're really going through the evolution, that I played a part in this, and I have to start with myself.
Yeah.
And that is the first step. And the second step is, I think, for some people, this step never comes, the forgiveness. And I think forgiving not only others, that's hard, because many people keeps all the injustices inside. They keeping the old pains inside. They still remembering what people did wrong about them. And but what I think is the top of forgiveness is to forgive yourself.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that is the hardest bit. I have to forgive myself to be able to open up to all this beauty of the power it's actually within me. So this is really resonating with me.
Yeah.
Now, you have another experiment here, and I think I think it's interesting because everybody can actually make it happen at home. And that was the healing with our mind and consciousness with the rice experiment.
Yes, many people have done this. You can see this on YouTube. And you just take 2 jars of cooked rice, 2 different jars, put lids on them, and put different words on them. One would be, I love you, or something positive. The other one, negative words like I hate you. And then every day you have to do this with your heart, though, not just say the words, but with your intention. Say beautiful, loving words to the rice that says I love you, and then with your full intention, negative, nasty words to the rice that you say I hate you. And then usually in a week you can see a difference of the decay, meaning the one that you said ugly words to will start to decay faster, have more mold than the other one. So by your words and intention, you literally can change how fast something decays. Cooked food, which is not living. So imagine what we're doing to ourselves when we say words that are negative. Or even slang. In the United States, we say a lot of slang terms, like this person is serious as a heart attack, or drop dead gorgeous. We speak curses, or we speak blessings on ourselves and other people, or this is never going to work, or this, we're going to end a nuclear war. We are speaking that because, remember, if we're made in the image of the creator, we have the ability to co-create with him. We're speaking that. And the when you're doing that verbally, that's a power that comes out that most people don't have a clue how powerful they are. So this is a wonderful experiment. My teacher did a seedling experiment with little plants, and when I was in second grade. So one group we said lovely things to, the other group we said ugly things to, same water, same light. And after a month, it was drastically different. My teacher was shocked. She didn't think it would work, but we saw the plants that we said beautiful things to flourishing. The other ones actually had some brown leaves and were wilting from just children saying words to plants. Wow. So this is why we have to realize how we should be really hold ourselves accountable for the illnesses that we have. We have to think about what could I do better? How can I improve myself? Am I doing something to block myself? And we're all here learning. We're all making mistakes. I'm still learning. But it's wonderful to see where we're going. We're being pushed into becoming the brilliant people, the brilliant creation we were always designed to be. And so if we look at it in that aspect, it's an exciting time to be alive.
Yeah, it is too. Yeah, absolutely. I think it is a gift that we were sent here at this era. Absolutely. Now, many people, we will talk about it in the very end today, about water and how to get hold of the clean water in today's difficult situation. But many people are telling me that they actually are kind of like a blessing the water before they drink it, and thanking and purifying with the words if they don't have any other means to do it. And it must be working because they telling me that that they happy with their water. So definitely the power of the words. But as you say, it is absolutely crucial to believe in it. You cannot just say it and not really be in line with it. So next picture is talking about water, and we mentioned Dr. Emoto in our previous talk already, but I think it's a good reminder of the power what you can actually do with your words. So
yes,
tell us about it.
Dr. Emoto from Japan, he actually took water and froze it under electron microscopy. And these are the crystals that would form. And what he did was he took water from different sources, sometimes polluted water or water from fresh springs. And of course, they made different structures. Polluted water on the bottom right, you can see that there is no structure, has no form. So structure will equal the function. So if there's no structure, it'll have a terrible function. It won't function well. So then he looked at, okay, that's polluted and clean water. What about if I said words to the water, or I put the word on the bottle of the water, or I prayed over the water? And he did this multiple times with children, with adults, different countries, different languages. And this is what comes out every time. So beautiful words have a beautiful crystalline structure. But when you say, you fool, you make me sick, evil, look at the distorted figure that you get. There is no structure at all. And it's equal to a very polluted water. We're polluting our water with our mouth.
It's incredible.
And that's
isn't
the
it?
water in our body too. We're 70% water, and the whole earth is 70% water. So it's mostly water. So the things that are coming from our mouth, we're reading, we're singing, we're hearing, all of this combines where it's constantly in creation. Everything is in motion. Everything's creating. So even though you say beautiful words one time, it's not one and done, because the next minute, if you say something negative, it's changing again. It's constantly in flux. That's what
I have
creation.
a feeling, I'm sorry, I have a feeling that water as such will play, and our understanding of water will play a significant role in a close future. And it will make a big change in the whole planet when we finally clean up the water around us, just on the basic 3D level, clean up the oceans, clean up the rivers and all water around us. And I believe that I'm a huge believer in the technologies which are already out there, is just hidden from us because they would cancel all profit and greed. So I believe that we already have technology to clean up the planet. So I'm a huge believer of this, with a little help probably from other worlds. But we definitely, this will change the planet when we clean up the water outside of us and inside of us. Now you have a very interesting slide here, which is bringing me to something which we already discussed in one of my broadcasts. We had Dr. Bruce Lipton, and he's very known for epigenetics and his work in that area. And that's interesting what you just brought up here, because it's completely in line with what we just said.
Yeah. So we always were told in medicine, oh, you inherited your genes from your parents, or your Aunt Sally gave you high cholesterol. And that's quite a lie, because it's not set in stone. Again, just like water is constantly moving and in flux, our genetics do the same thing in a way, because although we were given a blueprint at birth, we have the ability to turn on and off genes. So innumerable times. And these are turned on and turned off through the way we think. Again, positive thinking, loving thinking, of our emotions, keeping our emotions at bay, not just having rage or anger or just this apathy or sadness all the time. We have control over those. Words, music is powerful. That's another thing. I believe in the future we'll see the power of music. Music can break chains and can cut through a lot of this. Just frequencies in general. And we're going to go over the different kinds of frequencies, but we know that these can turn on and off genes. So do not worry about, your Aunt Sally or your parents. You are in control of what happens in your genetics. And that's just the way it is.
That is interesting, because I believe that maybe people are not angry, maybe people are not, let's stay with anger, but many people are living in fear, constant fear.
Yes.
And the constant fear, let's say fear from, my father died of heart attack. That's my mother had a breast cancer, my auntie had a breast cancer. It's absolutely sure that I will have breast cancer too. And people live in this fear constantly.
And they're
And
saying they're prophesizing over themselves. They're
yeah,
saying they don't understand that they're speaking that. It's the
so
word
if
that we speak.
and that sorry, I'm interrupting you all the time.
Yeah.
And that is I think it's a little bit of, I can't forgive certain, let's say it's okay, it's all around, it's in media, it's what your doctor is telling you, that you have to be careful, because if your sister has this, then you will have it as well. It's constant bringing up the fear of something which is not there, but just by thinking about it, you're already bringing it into your life. And it's constantly everywhere where you go.
This is by design. I was at a hockey game, a sports game the other day, and it had so much advertising, and it was all about cancer, cancer, cancer. And they put up on the screen, cancer, cancer, cancer. It was throughout the entire hockey game. I had never seen
Wow.
anything like this before, but a hospital was paying for the advertising. And at the end, I think there was more words about cancer than hockey, but it was like a spell casting into the audience, you know? It's, if you start to look at the world and you're not hypnotized anymore, you'll see how we've been programmed and spell casted on the whole time. But once you understand it, it doesn't have an effect on you.
That's
That's
right.
the thing. Once you understand it, you rise above it. They don't have that power over you anymore.
And you don't need to actually do anything about it. It's just once you get it, it's as you see through the spell.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
what is frustrating is that you think, well, I see it. How come you can't see it? I have friends which I'm trying to convince for years, for decades. Can you start? Can you stop bringing all these negative thoughts? What if this happened? I'm praying that this is not going to happen to me. You're praying the wrong world. You're praying the negative things instead of thank you for being healthy. And it's constant. But yeah, we know. Now that in next slide, this is exactly actually confirmation of what we are talking about.
Yes. So we have research to show that our thoughts become physical in our body. So the brain, they've been able to map out the brain with thoughts. So every time we think something, we've been thinking a lot of things here, we're laying down new dendrites. They become physical. So a negative thought, fearful thought, anything on the negative scale looks like the one on the left-hand side, which is a scraggly looking little tree. The one on the right-hand side is a positive thought or memory, and it's a very beautiful tree. So the point of this is that we have the power to rewire our brain. We can actually recreate what our brain is, because a pessimistic person usually keeps thinking the negative thing over and over, and they have a hard time seeing the bright side of things or the glass that's full. But that's because their brain's been wired that way. So if they want to change it, they can change it. It takes 2 months to do so. So every day you have to just practice saying positive things or remind yourself. Or for me, I took Dr. Masuru Emoto's water crystals, that slide that you just showed, and I put that on my phone or on the refrigerator. And every day I looked at it, every day and every day and every day. And so in 2 months, you then rewired your brain into looking at the positive side of things to have a more joyful outlook, and your brain functions better. We literally can do this. So this is what I'm talking about, understanding that we're co-creators here on earth, but we need to own it and use it and teach others.
This is actually very good advice. I never thought about it doing it, but we are all very, very visual beings. And I think to put something, reminder of this positive thought process around you actually might work. Like it's definitely working. It worked for you. I'm absolutely sure it works, but I never thought about it to put a visual encouragement to do it that way.
Print it out, I mean, the refrigerator, right? Or your phone screen, and you'll find it very easy to remind yourself. And
You go, yeah.
so this slide was just to remind people that their body's ability to heal is greater than anyone has permitted you to believe, particularly the Western medicine. They want you to think that you are pregnant. Oh, you need us to deliver the baby. Wait a minute. There weren't hospitals from the beginning of time. I mean, why do we have to have a hospital? Or to be well, you must see us. Or if you have this symptom complex or this disease we labeled you with, you need us. And really, if we understand how the body works, we should know that it's limitless and how we can heal. We have so much potential, but we just have to start utilizing it and growing up spiritually and taking charge of it.
It's interesting to hear it from the doctor.
Yeah. As I practiced along the way, I became understanding that my job was really to be a detective and an educator. And that's really the true job of a physician, because the body knows how to heal itself. There are just blockages, and there could be physical, mental, or spiritual. And so really a good physician should be able to coach the person and help them understand their bodies so that empower them to do it on their own.
Now, which brings me to next slide, which before we started this talk, I asked you about this because I didn't know about this, but it's definitely very interesting. Tell us.
So we are biophotonic beings and electromagnetic beings. So this is well known in science. This is not just hearsay. So we are made of light and we emit light. So this is just one of many things. This is called laminin, and it's formed in the shape of a cross, and it's throughout all of our body. It forms the fascia, which is this thin tissue that lines and coats all the organs, blood vessels, everything, and holds everything in place. And it's very important because it communicates the electrical system to each organ. So there's a communication network. It's also charging. It's holds voltage too. So when you're measuring your pH of your body, you are actually measuring your voltage. So this is another trick they did over the years to get us to not understand who and what we are, because they didn't want us to know that we're electrical beings. So we'll just say pH instead of voltage. But this is a very important structure, and it emits light. All of your body can emit light.
So it's not just a saying in some new age circles that we are light beings. We are light beings.
Yes, we are. And the light has been dampened because of all of the toxins, not just the physical, but the mental toxins to tell us we aren't anything and that we believed it, to tell us that we don't come from a divine creator. We're just born. And if you think this little, your light gets dimmer. But once you realize who you are, it's just like light. It's like lightning or fireworks.
It is too. Now, I will try to find a video which you sent to me, but I didn't include it in the presentation just from the technical reasons. But I'll try to do it for the Slovak translation. And there is a video of the creation of new human. Tell us about it.
So I love this one. It's when the egg and the sperm are meeting for the first time, and when they meet, the sperm enters the egg, a burst of light comes out, because we are light from the beginning. Again, we're not just some cells in a petri dish. We have light. We came from light. We are light. And it's just a reminder to people that we are so much greater than we were ever taught.
That's beautiful. I will definitely include this video in a Slovak version. Now, with the next slide, we're coming to the importance, I believe, of mitochondria. So tell us about it from the professional's perspective. We hear about it all the time as amateurs, how it is important and all this, but we don't really understand why.
It's one of my favorite things of the body. It's an organelle inside the cells, and its job is to be the battery, the energy of the cell. And inside of this organelle, there's called the matrix, which is like a plasma, which is the fourth state of matter. It's charged. And Matrix is interesting because it equates to, the movie The Matrix. But anyway, inside the matrix, there are folds. And the folds are called cristae. The more folds you have, the more cristae you have, the more light you emit and the more power you emit from your mitochondria. Again, light. And this is only handed down from, or you inherit it from your mother's lineage. Only the female line can pass this down, not the male line. So to me, it's almost the physical representation of the seed of the woman. And it has its own DNA separate from your DNA. It holds the DNA, an ancient DNA from the original lineage. So isn't that interesting? And how beautiful is that?
This bit about DNA, I had no idea.
It holds information from maybe the beginning of us.
Wow. So maybe that's where I'm just speculating right now, where the divine feminine is coming through.
Yeah, it's the seed of the woman. That's in the Bible, it talks about it, and people are confused because women don't have seeds. But some things can only pass down through the lineage of the woman. And forever the royalty, the queen mother, was the most important person in the family, not the queen who was married to the king, the queen mother. And
Yeah.
everybody would have to go to her to get to the king, because she's the one to hold the seed of the king. She's the one, not the male lineage. And you'll see a lot of the royal lineages, they actually look at the woman's lineage much more importantly than the man because of that reason.
Now, this is interesting because this is completely in line with the dark side. Apparently, in the occult secret societies, and those they're really ruling the words from the back, from the behind, there is no, the males are always like the front man, but the real power comes from the big witch, let's say, or magician woman. It's always a mother who is the somehow guiding the what is happening in those societies. It's interesting because not a lot of people know about it. Everybody's talking about. We can name the names, which we won't be, but it is a female behind it as well, even in the dark side. So there must be something really, really important going on here. Now, in the next slide, I'm just looking at a clock at a watch, so we're not going over 2 hours. In the next slide, I think this is crucially important for people to understand when we're talking about our own power to heal.
Yeah. So our body can rebuild itself. It says less than 2 years, but really way less than a year. Your entire body is made new, brand new cells. So that is true. So why do we still have decay or disease cells? Well, there's damage coming in from the poisons and toxins in the environment. We know that we have a plethora of those, but also the mindset is huge. When someone believes that they are supposed to be a certain thing at a certain age, and I guarantee you, most people, even people listening, are doing that to themselves, you will instantly start to age yourself, because that's a poison too, the way you think. So the thing is, we have the potential to rebuild any organ. That's our birthright. So I've seen, some 70-year-old men with really enlarged, dilated hearts, cardiomyopathy, and they remodeled their heart back, or somehow it remodeled back to a young, strong man's heart, and really logically didn't know how to explain that in science. I've seen people, their liver grow back on their own. People's new blood vessels form to repair their own heart without an open heart surgery, all kinds of things like that. So the body has the ability to regrow and heal itself. We just have to know that this is our potential and this is our birthright to do it.
So my question would be, if we have the power to do it, to replenish ourselves within a year, let's say, I'm just using the year, because I know every organ has a different time frame. So how come it will all again, the new replacement will be the sick cells again?
Because it's been corrupted. So let's say some poisons or toxins have gotten into the body, and also a shortening of something called telomeres on our chromosomes. So we have end caps on the chromosomes, and they get shortened over time. But we have something that can repair naturally in our body called telomerase. We naturally have that. Most people, it's turned off. This is probably by design in our world. But there are certain fruit extracts that you can take, or just eating certain ways, that we've seen that the telomerase gets turned on, and all of a sudden the telomeres get longer. So when they get longer, your blueprint then can make a correct copy of the cells again. And so it's healthy. It's not just longevity, right? Who cares if you live a long time if you're sick? It's about being robust and vigorous and youthful. And I was in the Dominican Republic for a while in a remote area, and there were a couple of people in the village that lived to 112 years of age, but they didn't have modern medicine. They lived from the plants that grew around them, that made teas. They knew all about the herbal remedies. And it wasn't that they just lived that long. I mean, the son of the one man was in his 80s, still carrying heavy like trees and things like that, and doing farm work. I mean, you never see that in the United States, for sure.
This is interesting because I tap into the conspiracy theory, which I know is actually true, to medbeds. And I never knew, actually, I never know what's your, I don't know what's your opinion about this, but let's imagine theoretically that it is something, um, it is a technology which is working with frequencies and can bring the human body in a state of health. Now, if the person who doesn't have positive thinking and believe in the restoration and our own power to do it, if that person uses this technology, well, half year later it will be sick again.
Mhm. Yeah,
Because
you're
so
right.
it's no point to have this technology unless we understand internally our strength within us,
Yeah.
that we can actually hear ourselves.
Yes.
Technology is beautiful, but it's only going to work if you really understand and own it.
Yes, that's 100% correct. Our thoughts can overpower anything, our belief system. So again, going back to if we're co-creators, we can, make something work or make something not work. So you're right. You can have all the perfect tools, but it doesn't mean it's going to work if
Yeah,
we're not in the right mindset.
that's interesting. Now, we have a couple of more slides here, and this one is interesting too because it's talking about the importance of actually the internal world within us.
Yeah. So we, of all the animals on the planet, humans have the smallest genomes, but we have the most genes. So that's made possible because of the microbiome, all the organisms on outside of us and inside of us. We need them. We need the bugs. We make our own little universe with them. So they are responsible for our immune system. And here you have the world telling us to sanitize everything, which kills off our immune system. We're not supposed to do those sanitizing gels. You're killing your immune system. Good old fashioned, just regular soap is fine. We're supposed to hug and kiss each other. We're supposed to not be quarantined away from our loved ones, and we're supposed to be dirty in the dirt. This is what we should do. This is how we get information and how our immune system is growing and learning to help us out. So most diseases, they say 99 to 95% of all diseases start in the digestive tract because of the microbiome being disrupted. So if we understand that, most illnesses come from a poorly working microbiome or just not having the good bacteria. People that have had COVID shots, and I think maybe some long COVID people, there are reports saying that they've lost a certain bacteria beneficial that's called bifidobacter. They have lost that one in their gut, sometimes zero. So again, it seems like the people that are trying to oppress us know about this system that we have, and they're trying to take away our immunity. So good thing is that you can replenish that with some good probiotics, the bifidobacterium. So this is just educating people that we need those good bacteria, eat fermented foods. A little bit of dirt on the food is okay. Remember back in the farm days, you just grab something from the ground and eat it. People now scream, sanitize it with bleach. No, we need these bacteria. So when we touch the soil, the microbiome in the soil and our microbiome communicate. And what will happen is then they get knowledge from us, they see what we need. And so the plants that grow from that soil will then have compounds that are beneficial for us personally or the community. That's why we're supposed to eat locally. Isn't that great to know?
So that's why when I really am down and I just put my hands in the dirt and I go and do gardening, it always makes me feel much better.
Yeah. And you're also grounding. So you're
Yeah.
you're detoxing, you're grounding, but you're also exchanging information with the environment. We are connected people. We're not supposed to be isolated. We were made to be in this environment. This is our environment, and it's made to sustain us. So we should be doing that again. We forgot how to do that.
Which brings us to something which we discussed before we started recording, and it's the biofield. And you are actually one of the experts because you, in your training, you are osteopath, which you're probably working with a biofield on a regular basis. So tell us about it. And also, this is related to heart, but I think we can talk about it a little bit more.
Yes, the heart is the most powerful organ as far as emitting an electromagnetic field. So we emit a good, healthy electromagnetic field, not like the devices around us. And the average person, it goes out about 6 feet, but in a person that's a powerful called prayer warrior or meditator, it can go out much larger. It's too large for the instruments to measure. So we communicate with each other, and it's a very powerful field. It goes to the fourth state of matter, the plasma state. This is a powerful state. I believe that this is the state of being that can wipe out or almost be like a mini EMP to all the AI technology. This is why we should not fear. We should stay, focused in this love frequency. And this is when we get that courage and love that goes out from around us. And this is when things happen that normally couldn't happen logically, like a woman picking up a car to save her child. She's able to produce this kind of a power. But our bodies have different rhythms as well. And one is called a cranial rhythm in osteopathy, where you can feel, it took me almost 2 years to be able to feel it, but there's a pulsing, a flowing that goes through the body. And you can feel the rhythm. You can see if it's off or on. And it actually, back then when I was training, it was between 8 and 12 cycles, 8 and 12 hertz, 8 to 12 hertz, which matched the Schumann resonance back then. So our bodies were mirroring the Schumann resonance of the earth. So when the Schumann resonance changes, usually our bodies will react or maybe become a little chaotic at first until it resonates with the earth again. So we're that connected that we have this flow within us. And this is showing the light from our body being emitted, because we have light, again, that is measurable. And there's a device called a BioWell. I have it right here, based on a Kirlian photography, which this man is Semyon Kirlian actually devised. And he was showing that you can take photography with an optical camera of the photons, the light coming off of either a person, a leaf, an object, anything. So you're actually seeing the bursts of light come off of something. So even if somebody lost their arm, they lost it in war, let's say, the image that comes out on the photography still has the arm there, because the body's energetic blueprint still shows they're supposed to have an arm. Sometimes
Wow.
acorn will actually show the shape of a tree instead of just the acorn. It knows what it's supposed to grow into. It has the blueprint of the energy all around it. But it shows defects in some of the, we might call the energy field or the aura. And so this is helpful for diagnosing things, or maybe there's a spike in the energy field. So this device is something based on the work of Kirlian that Korotkov did. He's a Russian physicist and scientist, where you just put your fingers into the box. It blocks out the rest of the light, and you push your fingertip to the quartz glass, and then an impulse goes into it, very tiny. An optical camera takes a picture of that impulse hitting your finger and the light that's emitted. And then you do each finger, and each finger is related to organs in the body. And then they transpose that into a whole image of your body, and then each organ that's being affected, whether it's too much energy, too little, it's imbalanced, even picking up on the environment.
And you then, as a healer, you then work with those results and adjust the energies.
So it's great for people to see, before and after, because sometimes people need to see visuals as well, because it helps to have accountability to ourselves, to see
Yeah.
that there are some things that are dysfunctional. Some people like, there's nothing wrong with me. There's always something going on, right? And it pinpoints areas that we can work on. And then also it can be proof for some of the new ways of healing, whether it's using red light therapy. There's some people with some Tesla beds or lasers. I mean, there's a list of things that you can use, and you can see the effects afterward to see the change.
It's definitely something which is coming stronger and stronger through this, let's say, alternative scene of healing. And there is a vast evidence that it is working, and this is literally work with sounds and frequencies.
Yes. So this is why it's all frequency. And so we're seeing that we are frequency. We are emitting a signature, a light, a sound. And so we can use it for good instead of just being, walking around unknowing and letting everything affect us.
Absolutely. So we're coming to the part of the our talk about frequencies, and I have a very interesting, very short reel from one of my favorite YouTubers, broadcaster Jan Nolan from the channel Inspired, and I just want to play it.
Mhm.
Business arguing with anyone over anything on social media or anywhere for that matter. So do you know
I'll
what this
start
number
again.
represents on the screen here? Because if you don't, you have no business arguing with anyone over anything on social media or anywhere for that matter. There's a spectrum of light out there, the entire spectrum of light that's out there in the universe. This number represents how much of that our eyes can see. We're basically blind. And this number here, this number represents, out of all the sound that's out there, how much we can hear. So we're basically deaf. So we're basically blind or deaf. Before you argue with anyone on social media, think of that.
I really like that because it summarizes it all. Because we all are, there is so much of the anger and so much of arguments and so much of, I can see it in the comments to my broadcast, which I have in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and emails and all this. And people are still staying within that little tiny red box which I have on a screen. And that's what they're arguing, that this is the world and this is how it should be. And I'm not right if I'm talking outside of that box. And yet the world around us is much, much wider, so much wider than we can actually imagine.
Yes,
Now,
it is.
when it comes to frequencies, I use the next picture so we can start talk about a little bit what is harmful, what is useful. So there is a vast array of frequencies around us. For example, the one in a circle, the visible light, and the sun is in the middle. The sun is one of the best healing friends we have. It's, if the earth is our mother, then the sun is our father. That's definitely, and we talk about the sun therapy and how to work with sun on a daily basis very often. So tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, the sunlight, we're like plants. We need good water and sunlight. And sunlight, you should not put sunscreen on. It's not healthy for us. And not wear sunglasses at least for 20 minutes a day, because you need that true sunlight to get into your eyes. And the sunlight actually activates a lot of neuropeptides and endocrine system in your body. It gives you a circadian rhythm, increases your vitamin D, increases your immune system. So there are many things that you need the sunlight for. So sometimes we're not getting enough sitting inside with these blue lights. So we're all red light deficient. You can always supplement with a true red light bulb. I have a red incandescent bulb I have by my bedstand. So sometimes for 15 minutes, I'll turn that on and I'll sleep like a baby, just 15 minutes. It triggers a cue inside of my body. You can get, red light therapy if you want. It's a little more expensive, but sunlight is the most important spectrum that we get. And it does a multitude of things. All the hospitals about 100 years ago, all they were sunbeds and mineral baths. And then they also had colored glass, sometimes cobalt blue or a deep green, where the sunlight would shine through, reflect, and that colored light would actually heal the body of different things. Again, each color was a different frequency and did a different thing in the body. So isn't that neat to know? We need to go back to the beginning. And that's why we have organs in the church, the bells that they rang in the towns or the churches, they were actually cleansing the air, they were healing. Or people singing, their organic singing was very healing.
That's why they replace them with the speakers now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately. I have to ask the question because I live in Australia where we have a very harsh sun. And of course, sunscreen is something what people use in, on a daily basis in kilograms. So why is it not good to use it? and how to prevent. What is more important, probably, because I can understand how and why it is not good, but I still would like to know your opinion. But how can we prevent then the burning when the kids are going, swimming in a pool? And what can we use? What to do?
Well, most of the sunscreens are pretty toxic and they cause cancer themselves. That's the main reason. There are some natural products for sunscreen if you really need those that are zinc based. So I advise people to look for that. But getting tanned is good because it became out of fashion to be tan, but having a tan is actually very healthy, just so you know. So don't be afraid to get in the sun. Now, you don't want to burn over and over. That's not good. So just use caution with that. If you burn easily, maybe you need more antioxidants in your body. I went through a summer, I burned easily. So I just started to intake more vitamin C, more fruits and vegetables, and I stopped burning. I just didn't have enough nutrients. Kids in the pool, yeah, wear long sleeves. When I was a kid, that's what my mom did. She put long sleeves on us in the pool when we were playing, and we didn't really wear sunscreen. Most people aren't easy burners. There's only a small percentage. If you are, it just means you're lacking something in your diet typically. But just try not to use a synthetic sunscreen. Some people just put them on like a habit. They don't think about it if they really need it that day. Most
I
of the
know
people
it's very common. It's very common here, unfortunately. And I have arguments within my family, and I am struggling to explain what to do and what's the best. What I did when the kids are at my place, I have the zinc-based
that's good.
sunscreen. Yeah.
Melanomas
All right.
are from lack of sun, not too much sun. The melanomas. They just didn't know how to explain that to people, so they told them to stay out of the sun. So what we're taught is not correct.
Yeah, thank you. Now, the next bit will be about, we can actually go a little bit to Schumann resonance, because you mentioned it before, how it is actually our body is syncing with it. And we don't need to talk in a detail, because our viewers know what is Schumann resonance, and they pretty much understand what's happening. But I put those pictures, they're pretty recent. And I think it's important to understand, when you look at let's say, whichever out of them, when you look at the first green line, horizontal line, that's the normal frequency, which was for 1,000 years. It was 7.83 hertz. It's the humming of our Earth. Gaia has this kind of like a inner singing, and that's 7.83, and used to be for many, many thousand years. However, recently, and I think the changes are noticeable since 2012, we can see massive changes, and sometimes they come in a spur of the like a shooting. This is the wide field and the vertical shots. But what is more important, I believe, is another horizontal lines, which are starting to be much higher frequency than 7.83. So for example, the second horizontal line towards when you go down is around 13 hertz, and the third one is already around 20, and so on and so forth. So why it is important, and what does it do to our brain when the Earth is actually humming in a higher frequency?
Well, if we're not harmonized with the Earth, it makes us off balance. It makes us not feel good, because we're kind of disconnected from what's going on in the Earth. And there are a lot of theories of why this is happening. Some people say it's artificially induced. Some people say it's natural. But the point is that this can affect us and our mental being, our mental state, our ability to process and focus and things like that. So the best thing to do is to, again, stay grounded, be barefoot outside, be in water, again, sunlight, things like that. That's the natural ways to do that. Be in community with other people physically, not just online. And know that, I mean, I don't really worry about it or follow it too much. I just know that it's happening. I just try to call it grounded and do natural things. And then the body harmonizes with that.
I think it's the best advice. And actually, whatever changes we are facing, the best advice is exactly what you just said: grounding, sun, clean water, clean food, and detox, and all this. Very simple, actually. It's all very simple when you think of it. What I put on a screen now is the understanding what is actually the higher frequency of Schumann resonance doing to our brain waves. And if we are balancing and harmonizing with Schumann resonance, then it is bringing us to from alpha, which is 7.5 to 12.5 hertz. It's bringing us to beta, which is most of the day we are already in beta, which is the higher. It's already more alert. We are more alert. We are more concentrated. It's higher in consciousness as well. But there are days that the Schumann resonance is shooting beyond 25 hertz. Some of the days are 40, 90. We even had few of the 100 in a scale of hertz, 100 shots within last half year, which brings us to nearly to the state of enlightenment. So from the point of view of awakening and bringing us to the higher consciousness, I think this is playing a significant role. Now, I don't believe that we need to be obsessed with it. And I don't believe that it is, like that I look at a graph and that's how my day will be. That's not the right thing. But it's good to understand when I'm feeling really down, or when I'm feeling, for no reasons, I'm feeling really tired. I wake up and I feel like, oh my God, what was I doing all night? Like I feel like I was wrestling or something. And there are days like this. Many people are sensitive and they have a lot of headaches, joint aches, and all this. And it has something to do with the frequencies around us.
Yeah, absolutely. So it can explain all of those, but yeah, don't get obsessed about it. And I suppose we talked about it earlier. It's all about our mindset going into this. So, if we're in a negative mindset, it's probably going to affect us in a more negative way. But if you're more in a joyful, not having fear about the future, then it does not affect you in such a negative way at all. Some people find it a good thing.
Now, this is something what I very often say in my broadcast, that stop obsessing with everything what you cannot affect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like what's the point? Just be an observer. If you want to know about it, be an observer. But then don't tell me that you keep the distance and you get angry. That's not looking at it the right way. So yes, it's good to be informed, but don't let it to affect you to the point that you're becoming emotional about it. So I always say to people, if it makes you angry watching the news, just grab the book and sit in your favorite armchair and spend time with yourself. I'm not saying be not active. Yes, be active, and the best way, of course, is what you were saying before. Do something meaningful, but don't get affected by something what you cannot change, and especially because you already know that it's just a theater which is played for us.
It's true.
It's not real. It's not real even.
That's true. Yeah. And our body's ability to overcome this is real. So we can overcome that. It's better to be in a joyful state, not a worried, fearful state.
So we're coming to the point of, okay, so what to do?
Yeah.
How do we heal?
So power of prayer, and you have to have unshakable faith, and that moves mountains. That means the impossible becomes possible. And I've had that in my life. We talked about the plane crash I was in, because at those moments I had this knowing and this faith that I didn't care what anybody else around me was saying in the medical trauma bay or on the field. I knew that whatever they said wasn't going to happen. I knew that I would not be paralyzed or I would be healed. I'm not like that all the time. It's a practice, but it's having that faith that makes a big change. So that goes into
Carrie, tell us in a couple of sentences that very interesting what happened to you? Because people don't know, not a lot of people know about, if you can, about the plane crash.
A little over 3 years ago, I was a passenger in a plane crash, and a lot of things happened, and to me, a lot of miracles happened, because really, you should not be alive today. But the plane went down. Nobody knew where we were, and it took a while for them to find us, but finally got airlifted back to the Atlanta Medical Center in Georgia, and in the trauma bay, I overheard them talking about a woman that would likely be paralyzed, and then I realized that woman was me. And I instantly had this knowing and knew that they were wrong, and said, that is not my history, not my story, will not happen. They're wrong. And so shortly after that, when I was in the ICU, they kept testing me, and I was going unconscious at the time, in and out of consciousness. But when I felt them touch my feet, I would push harder and harder. So I was getting stronger and stronger, which confused them. So they started arguing. They had the wrong patient, wrong foot. They got the attending, and they looked at the scans again. And I remember the attending saying, I don't know. I guess all of us looked at the scans wrong. There's no way you're going to be paralyzed. So take her off the neuro checks. And so maybe all of them looked at my scans wrong, or maybe, the power of prayer, because at that time, a lot of people found out and they were already praying for me, and I could feel the prayers going through my body. So that was just one example of many things that to me were miracles that happened.
Wow. And we are so happy for it. Now, Carrie, I just realized that I forgot to ask you something which I promised to some of my viewers, and that's a question of statins and cholesterol and high cholesterol. And it is something which many families, many people are struggling with, because somewhere they've heard that statins are not good for you, but the doctors, their GPs are telling them that they have to take statins because their cholesterol is high, and it is much higher in than the measurement is set, what is the correct measurement for the cholesterol. So what is the story here, and what is actually happening with taking statins and then not taking them, and the cholesterol goes high? Isn't it the dangerous situation?
Well, the two markers and all the big studies that are reputable about what actually causes an acute heart disease or heart attack were two levels in the blood. So one is called CRP, or C-reactive protein, so an inflammatory marker. The other one is HDL, or your good cholesterol, being too low. That's it. The others did not come into factor about whether or not you got a heart attack or died of a heart attack. So it was too low of your good cholesterol. Well, the doctors never focus on that with anyone, because there's not a drug to treat that. You just have to eat properly. But when the original studies came out for the statins, they showed that really only a small percentage of the population should be on them, based on genetics. And, they said it was dangerous for the other population to take it, because we had the danger of cutting off getting the good fat into the body. So the good fat is your brain, all of your nerves that go everywhere, a lot of your hormones. So if you're choking off the good fat from getting to your brain, from getting to the nerves that supply your heart even, or supplying your hormones, well, then you can see that this is how Alzheimer's and memory loss happens, and mood issues, and actually increase of cardiac events, weakness of the muscles, all kinds of things like that, which are reported innumerable times. So really what happened is corporate greed. So the studies were done, the doctors were following the recommendations, and then all of a sudden corporations overcame the education of doctors. Corporations came in and controlled the hospitals. They control the advertising, and then they started making up the rules based on no science. So now everybody gets a statin for no scientific reason, but the doctors just follow it because the drug rep told them this, or their protocols told them this. The protocols aren't made by the scientists. They're made by a dollar sign. They're made by what they're making. So really, when you're looking at it, they should not be prescribed like this. They're very dangerous for most people. You need cholesterol. You absolutely need it. The ranges that they're telling people to go to are absolutely insane. If you try to reach these low levels, you are starving your body of the essential fatty acids that you need. So it's wrong. And of course, to get studies to show this to people, but I think that it's a tragedy that they're doing this to a lot of people. And also we know that cardiovascular disease, the plaques are caused by bacteria that wall in, or they go in between the wall of the artery there. So they start to grow. And so the body's smart. So it actually puts cement or plaque around where that bacteria is to wall it off. So there have been studies, Pfizer has done these studies showing how the bacteria in the mouth, the bad bacteria, can go in and form that. So they actually saw that if they gave azithromycin, an antibiotic, for 4 to 6 months, the people were not just getting better, some were getting cured. But because they were getting cured, they stopped the study and they erased the evidence and buried it and didn't tell anyone. But here's a drug company that knows that there's a reason that your body makes a plaque, and that it wasn't from too high of a cholesterol. It was because you had a hidden infection of some sort. So again, why are we treating something that is not even the real cause of it? And then it's just because of money, you guys. It's really just money.
So is it actually any relation? How strongly does actually elevated cholesterol contribute to the heart attacks or cardiovascular disease?
We see people with absolutely normal cholesterol drop dead of a heart attack. And, it's the high cholesterol does not factor in as a bigger risk factor, not at all. So It's really too low of an HDL makes me worry. So it's too low of a good cholesterol. If that's too low, you need to get that up. That's important, but that's diet. There's no drug that can do that. It's increasing the good fats, exactly the opposite of what the cardiologist tells you to do a lot of times.
So actually constant lowering your cholesterol actually can cause Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and all those diseases which are stripping the brain or nerve system from the fat, from myelin.
Yes,
am I right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Losing your
So what is the story with the inherited high cholesterol and danger of it? Because that's what the doctors are usually saying. You have that's in your genes, and you have to take statins because you are prone to the high cholesterol.
Well, just like we said in the beginning, genes don't matter that much. You can turn on and off genes. But I could say when I had my clinic open, maybe there was one person that truly had that hereditary hypercholesterolemia that was bona fide. That's incredibly rare. It's not as common as people think it is. So that's like looking for a zebra.
So if the typical thing would be that person hears this and is on statins and decides, okay, my cholesterol on statins is lower to, I don't know, 200. I think this is the measurement you're using in America. And when I am off statins, after 3 months, it will jump into 350. Isn't that dangerous? So my doctor is going to tell me, what you're doing, it's too high, you're going to die of heart attack. So I jump back on statins.
Well, there's going to be a rebound effect when you stop them. So that is to be expected. But it depends on the breakdown of the cholesterol. Like I said, again, you need to look at the breakdown and look at your diet, look at what would make a high cholesterol. Well, if there's inflammation in your body does you a favor by making cholesterol to wall off the inflamed parts. So that's why people get more fat around their belly. It's trying to wall off the inflammation there. So if you address the root cause, the inflammation, well, the cholesterol doesn't need to be formed so high anymore. Your body is never really working against you. It has a reason why it does something. So if we look back and find the reason, then we can really find a true solution.
So this is interesting what you just said, that could the internal inflammation in the body, and that then we are then having like a Michelin around us, could that be possibly caused by stress or hidden stress?
Stress, absolutely. Again, a poor digestive tract is most people's problems. I said 95% of all illnesses really start in the digestive tract. So we have to do gut detoxes, look at the microbiome, that sort of thing.
Wow. Okay, well, thank you. Beautiful. And last bit, I'll just go and put this on our screen so we can actually finish off in, okay, how are we going to heal?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know it's not that simple that we can actually summarize it in 5 minutes.
Yeah. And then again, positive thinking. So, put some pictures up that help you to remind you of that. Know who you are and begin to say it. I have like a letterhead where I typed out who I am, and that helped a lot. That I walk in that identity. I have that faith. I don't care what this world does to me or what happens. I know that that's my identity, and it's a freeing thing. And I remember that we are biophotonic beings. We have light. We emit electricity too. And so frequency affects us, but we can use it for good too. So I looked at pulsed electromagnetic frequency devices, different kinds of light, sound is healing, organic music, color. Make sure that you have the good building blocks. If you don't put good building blocks in your body, good food, how in the world can it build anything, right? So we have to take care of that. Local farmers are good. Make sure your gut is healthy or you can't pick up all of these nutrients. So sometimes a good gut detox, enemas, I know people don't like that, but they do help. Remove obstacles from healing, detox your body. So see what's preventing you from healing. It could be water, right? We talked about water is really toxic in the environment.
So, and this will be my one last question, really. How, for example, I live in the area that I cannot have access to the natural spring water. So there are springs somewhere here, but they are hidden. The public cannot get to them. We have a lot of springs in Czechoslovakia, but let's say that I am living in a situation that I only have available tap water, all the water, plastic water in plastic bottles from shops, which I can't really trust anymore what is in those bottles anyway. So how do I supply myself with the clean water? And I know the answer, but I want to hear it from you.
Well, at the moment, I'm only trusting distilled water. Now, you can take that distilled water and do frequencies or structure it in a different way, but I'm doing that because the water, at least in the States, is so toxic that the other ways I was using before wasn't really cutting it. So, and I also like to see what's inside my water when I distill it, which is a good experiment to do to see what your residue is, because you want to see what's happening. I've seen the change over time, and I can say the last 6 to 8 months, the water has definitely gotten more toxic. I've seen more slime material forming, which could be a form of hydrogel. And so that's what I trust the most of cooking and drinking. So you have to remember, when you cook it, boil it, it doesn't take out the toxins. Sometimes it makes it more potent. So distilled water for cooking as well.
But with distilled water, many people are telling me, but it's a dead water. It doesn't have any minerals. And, so how do we overcome that obstacle?
A really good high quality salt, is really good. Baja Gold or Redmond's in the US. I'm sure you can get that anywhere. You probably have great salt in Australia. Put that all over my food. Sometimes you can put it in the water. You can have fulvic minerals. I don't see that as an issue. I think people drink distilled water for their lifetime and they do great.
Yeah.
We get minerals from other places.
Just to explain people what they see on the screen, I bought the distiller, I don't know how to say it in English, the machine after I spoke to you. I think it was in March. And I did experiment, of course. And the first lot I was distilling after 3 liters of tap water, Australian tap water. Guys, look what was inside. This is just after 3 liters. Can you imagine what we're drinking on a regular basis? Mm-hmm. It's actually outrageous. And this is not a chemical analysis. So I don't know, hidden chemicals like fluoride, chlorine, and this is probably just heavy metals, plastics, and all these. So it's pretty bad. Yes. I will finish with one beautiful slide which you had in your presentation. Hold on, I'll find it. And this is the slide.
Yeah, my favorite. Just know that there's always hope, and we are here for a purpose, and we are co-creators here. And what a glorious time to be alive when we're starting to awaken to our true purpose and identity. It's a pleasure to be with you.
That is beautiful. Carrie, as always, I can talk to you for another 2 hours, I'm sure. So we have to be more diligent in scheduling our next meeting in front of the camera.
Fun with you too. So thank you.
Thank you very much for your wise insights and for your experiences and sharing words with us and your thoughts, because I think it's everybody can find some research, everybody can go and find articles and evidence and all this, but I think the insight of and your wisdom of someone who is in touch with who you really are is irreplaceable. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for what you do. This is invaluable. So
thank you.
Nice to be with you.
So up until next time, good night, good morning, good day, whenever you're watching us, guys. And I'm looking forward to see you again. Bye-bye.